Have you ever wondered why some people rise higher while others stay stuck, even when they seem equally talented? Is it really about luck, or is there a hidden key to success that most people overlook? Here's the truth. Real success doesn't come from stepping on others. It comes from lifting others as you climb. That's how you create success that lasts. If you're ready to discover how to build a powerful path of achievement without jealousy or fear, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Here we dive deep into the mindset shifts that unlock growth, fulfillment, and real inner strength. 1. Shifting from me to we. Most people chase success with a mindset of scarcity. They believe that if someone else wins, they automatically lose. This way of thinking is deeply ingrained, often beginning in childhood, when competition is encouraged as the only measure of progress. We are taught that grades, promotions, and recognition are limited resources, and therefore someone else's advancement somehow diminishes our own chances. But the truth is, the pie of success is not fixed. It grows when people work together. Collaboration creates expansion, and in expansion, everyone benefits. By clinging to scarcity, people shrink their own opportunities, confining themselves to small, fragile victories that often come with bitterness rather than joy. Shifting from me to we means seeing life not as a battlefield, but as a field of possibilities where collaboration multiplies results. This perspective requires courage because it asks us to step out of the ego-driven pursuit of being the only one. When you stop obsessing over being the only winner, you free yourself from envy and open the door to bigger opportunities. For instance, a musician who fears competition may spend their energy comparing themselves to others, while a musician with a we mindset collaborates with fellow artists, creating harmonies and performances that captivate audiences on a scale that would be impossible alone. The shift is not about losing individuality. It is about finding fulfillment in shared victories. A mindset of me fosters jealousy, isolation, and constant comparison. It whispers that others are threats, not allies. But in reality, each person carries unique strengths, experiences, and ideas that when combined create something larger than the sum of its parts. Imagine a team where each member insists on being the star. It collapses quickly under the weight of ego. Now imagine a team where each member embraces their role, contributes selflessly, and cheers for others' success. The result is excellence. When we adopt a we mindset, we begin to recognize that helping others succeed doesn't take anything away from us. Rather, it enriches our own path by weaving us into a stronger network of shared progress. This shift also brings a deep sense of relief. Constantly trying to outshine others is exhausting, like running a race with no finish line. When you embrace we, you no longer see others' wins as threats. Instead, you celebrate them. Knowing their success expands the collective potential and often creates more opportunities for everyone. Take entrepreneurs, for example. Many think of competition as cutthroat, but thriving business ecosystems are built when entrepreneurs collaborate, share resources, and even refer clients to one another. Rather than shrinking the market, they grow it together. This same principle applies in every area of life, from families to communities, from workplaces to nations. The Stoics often reminded themselves that human beings are part of a larger whole, like organs in a single body. If one organ suffers, the entire body suffers. If one thrives, the entire body benefits. Adopting a we mindset is simply living out this truth. Your well-being is tied to the well-being of those around you. When you help others rise, you inevitably rise with them. When you hoard, isolate, or sabotage, you cut yourself off from the very connections that could elevate you. Life stops being about survival and starts being about shared flourishing. The more people embrace this shift, the more they discover that real strength and joy are found not in outpacing others, but in walking alongside them. 2. Finding strength in collaboration. Think about the greatest breakthroughs in history. No one achieved them alone. Nations were built not by solitary leaders, but by countless hands and hearts working together. Technologies that transformed the world were not born in isolation, but emerged from teams of visionaries, scientists, and workers combining their strengths. Even cultural shifts, movements for justice, art renaissances, revolutions of thought were never the product of one person's mind. Success has always been fueled by collective effort. Collaboration doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. It transforms individual limitations into collective power, making possible what would otherwise remain impossible. When you align with people who share your vision, you amplify your abilities. Alone, you may have skill, determination, and ideas, but in partnership, these resources multiply. Collaboration breeds resilience because it distributes weight. When one person falters, others carry the load. It sparks creativity because different perspectives collide and give birth to fresh insights. It accelerates progress because collective intelligence is always greater than individual intelligence. Consider the human body. No single organ could sustain life by itself, but together they form a system of incredible strength and adaptability. In the same way, individuals who collaborate form living networks of creativity, endurance, and achievement. Isolation may appear appealing to those who value independence, but it is a fragile strategy. When challenges arise, the isolated individual has no one to lean on, no one to share wisdom, and no one to multiply effort. In contrast, collaboration ensures that even in adversity, there is shared courage and shared solutions. For example, look at how communities recover from disasters. A single person cannot rebuild after a flood or earthquake, but neighbors working hand in hand can restore not only homes, but also hope. The strongest individuals are not those who carry burdens alone, but those who build teams, families, and friendships that make burdens lighter. History offers countless illustrations of this truth. The Apollo moon landing, often remembered as Neil Armstrong's giant leap, was in reality the culmination of the work of hundreds of thousands of engineers, mathematicians, and dreamers. The breakthroughs in medicine that have saved millions of lives came from generations of researchers, not lone geniuses. Even in art, where we often imagine the solitary creator, collaboration shapes masterpieces. Writers inspired by other writers, painters by movements, musicians by ensembles. Behind every so-called individual success lies a web of collaboration, visible or invisible, that made it possible. But collaboration is not just about achieving external milestones, it also strengthens the individual internally. It teaches humility because you recognize your dependence on others. It cultivates patience because working with people requires compromise. It nurtures empathy because you begin to see life from different perspectives. In this way, collaboration not only produces external success, but also shapes stronger, wiser, and more resilient individuals. True strength lies not in standing apart, but in standing together, for it is in unity that humans discover the full range of their potential. Collaboration is, at its core, a recognition of interconnectedness. No one exists in a vacuum, and every achievement rests on a foundation built by others, parents, teachers, mentors, communities. To deny this truth is to deny reality. To embrace it is to step into a deeper power. The lesson is simple yet profound. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And the journey worth taking is always the one that goes farther, the one that reaches higher, because it is carried by many hands, many minds, and many hearts moving as one.
3. Sharing knowledge without fear. In a world full of competition, many hold back what they know, fearing that someone else might outshine them. But here's the paradox. When you share knowledge, you don't lose it, you multiply it. The more you teach, the more you grow. The more you give, the more you receive. Think of fire. When you light another candle, your own flame doesn't diminish, it simply spreads more light into the world. Knowledge works the same way. Hoarding it in silence only breeds insecurity, while sharing it openly cultivates strength and wisdom. Great leaders, mentors, and innovators understand this principle. They don't hoard wisdom, they share freely because they know that by lifting others, they rise even higher. True confidence means helping others shine without fearing it will dim your own light. The Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "While we teach, we learn." Every time you explain an idea, you refine your own understanding. Every time you mentor someone, you are sharpening your own mind. To fear sharing is to fear growth itself, because it is in dialogue, exchange, and collaboration that the seeds of mastery take root. Much of the fear around sharing comes from a scarcity mindset, the belief that there isn't enough room for everyone to succeed. But the truth is, success is not a finite pie. Someone else's win doesn't take away your chances. It actually expands the field of possibility. When someone else grows from the wisdom you've given them, their success becomes a ripple that can come back to you in unexpected ways. Perhaps they introduce you to opportunities. Perhaps they challenge you to grow further. Or perhaps they simply spread your influence indirectly. Either way, sharing multiplies impact. Another fear people harbor is that by sharing too much, they might render themselves replaceable. But the opposite is true. When you teach others, you don't become obsolete, you become indispensable. You become the source, the well that others draw from. And in the process, you cultivate a reputation of abundance rather than insecurity. People respect and remember those who gave generously of their time, wisdom, and guidance, not those who clutch knowledge tightly like a miser guarding coins. Legacy is built not by what you hide, but by what you pass on. Think of the greatest innovators and thinkers in history. Marcus Aurelius didn't hoard his reflections. He wrote Meditations, which continues to inspire millions. Teachers like Socrates and Epictetus left behind ideas that shaped civilizations. Their wisdom survived not because they concealed it, but because they shared it without fear. Even in modern contexts, great mentors in business, science, and art are remembered less for their titles and more for the ideas they passed on to others who carried them forward. Sharing knowledge also has a humbling effect. It reminds us that we are always students, never complete masters. No matter how much we know, there is always more to learn. By teaching, we invite dialogue, correction, and refinement. We open ourselves up to growth, and in doing so, we strengthen both ourselves and the communities around us. A wise person is not afraid of giving away what they know because they understand that wisdom is infinite. It grows with use, not with secrecy. In the end, sharing knowledge without fear is a reflection of courage and abundance. It is a declaration that you are not diminished when others rise, but elevated alongside them. Each time you share what you know, you plant seeds in soil you may not ever see, but those seeds can grow into forests that outlast you. That is the true power of knowledge, not to guard it as if it were fragile, but to give it away, knowing it will only return stronger.
4. Celebrating collective wins. Jealousy makes people bitter when others succeed, but maturity makes you better when others succeed. Learning to celebrate collective wins is a mark of true strength. Every victory around you is proof that success is possible. Instead of asking, "Why not me?" ask, "How can I learn from this?" The Stoics remind us that envy is wasted energy. It poisons the soul without changing reality. The triumph of others is not your loss. It is a reminder that fortune smiles, that effort bears fruit, and that the world still rewards diligence, courage, and resilience. When you celebrate others, you build stronger relationships. You become magnetic. People want to work with you, support you, and celebrate you in return. Joy, when hoarded, shrinks,
But joy, when shared, expands. The same is true of success. If you can genuinely take pleasure in another's accomplishments, you transform rivals into allies and competition into collaboration. What's more, you become free from the burden of envy, which gnaws at the heart and blinds you to your own progress. Think of a team. When one player scores, the whole team celebrates. The goal might have come from a single shot, but it was supported by countless unseen passes, strategies, and sacrifices. Life, too, is a team sport. The achievements of those around you, friends, colleagues, even strangers, are not isolated events. They are connected to a broader web of effort and opportunity. By celebrating them, you are acknowledging your own part in a larger whole. And in doing so, you strengthen the bonds that hold communities together. It takes humility to celebrate someone else's win without secretly comparing it to your own standing. The insecure mind whispers, "They are ahead of you," but the wise mind counters, "Their success shows what's possible." Instead of jealousy, let their victory inspire you to elevate your own standards. Let it fuel your drive without poisoning your spirit. The Stoic Epictetus taught that we should not wish misfortune upon others, but rather train our desires to be in harmony with what is good for all. What is good for one, when rightly understood, can be good for many. There is also a practical power in celebrating others, reciprocity. When you lift someone up, they are more likely to lift you up in turn. People gravitate toward those who radiate genuine joy for others. Such people become leaders not through authority, but through generosity of spirit. In the workplace, in friendships, even in family life, those who celebrate collective wins create a culture of trust and encouragement. Over time, that culture produces greater achievements than any single person could accomplish alone. Of course, celebrating others does not mean ignoring your own ambitions. It means recognizing that life is not a zero-sum game. Another person's success does not reduce your chance at success unless you trap yourself in a narrow mindset. In fact, every win you celebrate around you keeps hope alive that your own is on its way. Rather than resent someone else's harvest, you can learn from their methods, their persistence, and their courage, and then apply those lessons to your own path. In the long run, joy multiplies when it's shared, and so does success. A community that cheers each other on will always go further than one divided by envy and suspicion. To celebrate collective wins is to align yourself with abundance, with the truth that life gives more when we give more. And perhaps most importantly, it is to free yourself from the chains of jealousy, a prison built from comparing your journey with another's. True freedom lies in celebrating without fear, rejoicing without comparison, and knowing that every victory, whether yours or another's, adds to the brightness of the world.
5. Building a network of mutual success. One person can only go so far, but a network built on trust, respect, and shared victories can reach unimaginable heights. This is the essence of the anti-jealousy success path, building circles where everyone thrives. Your success doesn't threaten mine, and mine doesn't threaten yours. In our modern world, we are often taught to measure our worth against the achievements of others, as if life were a zero-sum game in which someone must lose for another to win. This mindset fosters envy, isolation, and a constant sense of scarcity, undermining not only our own potential, but the very communities we inhabit. Yet when we consciously reject this paradigm, we open ourselves to an entirely different way of approaching life and achievement. A network built on mutual support is not just an abstract idea or an idealistic dream. It is a practical framework for sustainable growth. Every connection within such a network is a source of energy, insight, and opportunity. When we celebrate the successes of others rather than diminish them, we invite them to celebrate ours in return. This reciprocity cultivates trust, and trust, once established, becomes a multiplier for every endeavor we undertake. In these circles, mentorship flows naturally, guidance is offered freely, and encouragement is authentic. Importantly, such a network is not hierarchical in the traditional sense, nor is it transactional in a shallow way. It does not operate on the principle of "what can you do for me?" but rather on the principle of "how can we rise together?" Each member's achievements are recognized not as a threat, but as proof of what is possible. And the collective momentum generated by these shared victories create opportunities that would remain invisible to a lone individual. When approached with consistency, patience, and integrity, a network of mutual success transforms the very way we perceive competition, collaboration, and personal growth. When you build a network of mutual success, you create an upward spiral where everyone lifts each other higher. Instead of competing out of fear, you collaborate out of strength. That's when success becomes sustainable, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. In such networks, each participant understands that their own growth is intertwined with the growth of those around them. There is no room for petty comparison or destructive jealousy because the focus shifts from scarcity to abundance. Resources, knowledge, and connections are shared freely because the understanding is that the more others succeed, the greater the collective capability becomes. This mindset requires a radical reorientation of perspective. One must see opportunity not as limited and finite, but as expansive and regenerative. Furthermore, networks of mutual success foster resilience. In moments of failure, a supportive circle becomes a source of constructive feedback and encouragement, not judgment. Every setback is reframed as a lesson, every challenge as a shared problem to be solved collectively. Within such circles, members hold one another accountable, but they also celebrate one another without reservation. This transforms the pursuit of success from a lonely, often stressful journey into a rich, socially reinforced experience where personal victories are amplified by communal joy. Over time, the network itself becomes a living ecosystem capable of self-sustaining growth. Mentorship, collaboration, and shared celebration form the pillars of this ecosystem, and as it matures, it can extend its influence beyond the immediate circle, impacting entire communities, industries, and even societies. The most extraordinary outcomes emerge not from isolated genius, but from the deliberate cultivation of connections rooted in respect, admiration, and the sincere desire to see others thrive. By committing to this path, you embody a principle that transcends mere ambition. The understanding that true success is never solitary but inherently social, a force multiplied when shared, and infinitely more rewarding when achieved alongside others.
So let me leave you with this. Success isn't about proving you're better than others. It's about proving you're better than you were yesterday and helping others do the same. Rise by lifting others, and you'll find that you rise higher than you ever imagined. If this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, the path to real success is not paved with jealousy. It's paved with generosity, collaboration, and shared victories. Together we rise.